Good morning, everyone. A little rainy morning in Columbus today. And actually, I tried to get out earlier, but Annie would not come out in the rain. But she's out now. You can see her. Annie, come here. Come here, Annie. Annie, come. I forgot my treats, so I don't know if she'll come or not. But you guys can see her. Okay. All right. Thanks for joining my channel where I talk about mental health being spiritual health. And today we're going to talk about a Christ-like response. And we're going to be in the first letter of Peter, chapter 2, talking about a Christ-like response. But before we do that, I just want to remind you what I do. I help men be the best version of themselves through coaching and companionship. And I can help you heal with hands-on healing because I've been there. I've been depressed, had anxiety. So I understand what it's like. And it's no fun. But I was healed by God, and I want to help others do the same. So if you feel down or depressed, stressed, or anxious, reach out to me by email. It's in the video description and my about or bio section. I appreciate it. And there comes Annie. And there goes Annie. Whoop. There she is. All right. Let's talk about Christ-like response. So we're in Peter's first letter, chapter 2, specifically verses 20 through 25. But the focus here is on verse 23. Let me read that. When they hurled their insults at Jesus, he did not retaliate. When he suffered, he made no threats. Instead, he entrusted himself to him who judges justly. When they hurled their insults at Jesus, he did not retaliate. When he suffered, he made no threats. Instead, he entrusted himself to him who judges justly. Actually, at the beginning of the verse 20, it talks about, if you did something wrong and you're getting punished and you're, patiently or willingly accepting your punishment, of course you should because you did wrong. But what Peter's talking about is if you did no wrong of Jesus and you're still getting punished, you have to show patience when suffering for doing what is good. So this is when Christians were being persecuted, and they're trying to spread the gospel to other people, to help other people out. Yet they were being persecuted and they were suffering. They're saying, doing so gracefully and with patience, that is a grace before God, is what Peter writes. Now, how does this apply to our life? Well, here's an example. If someone comes up to you, and this has happened to me many times, and I might have done it to somebody else too, but they come up to you and they just start angrily attacking you for no reason, right? And cursing you and criticizing what you're doing, just like they were criticizing and cursing the early Christians, you know. and people are complaining about what you're doing and the project that you're working on, even though you haven't really done anything wrong and you're trying your best, it's easy when you're being attacked to turn around and attack back, right? Because you feel like you're being unjustly punished. And if you're being unjustly punished, then you want to hit back, right? That's kind of our response, you know? We'll just attack those who attack us. Annie, come. Sorry about that. I got to get her to come. Annie, come. So, one way to not do that and to respond more Christ-like, if someone is attacking you for seemingly no reason, is maybe they're struggling that day. So maybe you can try to keep your mind peaceful, and instead of taking that attack personally, ask them kindly, like, are you having a bad day? And that can immediately disarm someone from their attack mode. And a lot of times they'll just turn around and apologize, and then you can have a normal conversation. But it's very, very difficult to do that, you know, because a lot of times, like I said, we just want to strike back and to give abuse for abuse or insult for an insult. But if we respond with kindness, that is much more Christ-like. And that's how Christ bore the consequences of our sins. It's written here, when they hurled their insults at him, he did not retaliate. When he suffered, he made no threats. Instead, he entrusted himself to him who judges justly. So all of us are going to face moments when we're misunderstood, misrepresented, or attacked for seemingly no reason. And we may want to respond an attack for an attack, right? But the heart of Jesus calls us to respond with kindness, to pursue peace and display understanding. As he enables us today, maybe God could use us to bless someone during a hard day, you know? So even if we're attacked today, let's try to respond with kindness. All right? Now, I do have a couple questions here I will answer. One is, what makes it so easy to strike back at others for their unkind words? What makes it so easy to strike back at others for their unkind words? Well, for me, I think the problem is, and I read this in a book, I think it's ego. And the book that I had just read was The Freedom of Self-Forgetfulness by Timothy Keller. He's a Christian author. It's called The Freedom of Self-Forgetfulness by Timothy Keller. Now, in that book, he talks about going from ego to transforming the view of yourself and basically stop connecting everything to yourself. So instead of, if someone starts to accuse you unjustly and cursing at you and getting angry at you, instead of you taking that personally and going right back at them, look at it differently, right? Instead of being focused on yourself, maybe that person is having a bad day and struggling. So I think that's what makes it so easy to strike back with unkind words is your ego. But in order to overcome that, you have to transform yourself and fill your ego with something other than self-centeredness, is what Timothy Keller says. So I think the ego, for me anyway, is the problem. And Timothy Keller's book helped me understand that. You know, you have to stop thinking so much about yourself and fill yourself with a gospel-like humility. That's what Timothy Keller calls it. Well, anyway, I think that's the ego is my issue. But how about you guys? What makes it so easy to strike back at others for their unkind words? You know, leave a response in the comments. I'd appreciate it. Also, how can you be more intentional? Here's the second question. How can you be more intentional about showing kindness to those who are unkind to you? How can you be more intentional about showing kindness to those who are unkind to you? Well, I think the way to do that is, let me get Annie in here. Annie! I think the way to do that is to not think of yourself so much, right? Not, it's what Timothy Keller explained, is not to take everything so personally. I mean, maybe listen to what they're saying. Maybe there is some truth to the criticism, and learn to apply that to yourself. But I think remembering what Christ did for us on the cross and how he did it, you know, like a sheep basically said nothing, didn't retaliate. Just like Peter says, when they hurled their insults at him, he did not retaliate. When he suffered, he made no threats. Instead, he entrusted himself to him who judges justly. If someone's attacking you, maybe try to take the criticism as constructive criticism. But if it's above and beyond or wrong, maybe view it as there's an issue with that person. Maybe that person is struggling. Look at it from their viewpoint, what may be going on with them, as opposed to just yourself. That's how I'm trying to work on myself and better myself in this area, and to be more self-forgetful, as Timothy Keller said. How about you guys? How can you be more intentional about showing kindness to those who are unkind to you? If you guys have an idea or a thought, please leave me a message. Put put it in the comments to share it with others. I mean, it'll probably help all of us if everyone shares. So I'd really appreciate it. And if you're still here watching this video, please like it. It'll help me and my channel. And if you haven't already subscribed, please do so. Okay? Please do so. And remember what I do. I help men be the best version of themselves through coaching and companionship. So if you're feeling depressed, stressed, anxious, or alone, I've been there. I know what it's like, and I don't want anybody else to feel that way. So that's why I do what I do. And I believe mental health is spiritual health, and I believe people can be healed with hands-on healing, because that's what happened to me. I truly believe that. And I want to help you guys out. So if you or you know someone who needs help, coach or companion, please reach out. Please reach out. Send me an email. And until then, let's try today to show more kindness to those who are unkind to us. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow. Peace.